and I'm going to lay this one out for you, which is basically in the annals of aviation, what we could talk about very quickly. Which, as you are, if you're avid watchers, you know Corey and I are pilots. We've flown both helicopters and airplanes. It's great, awesome. Basically, there's a guy out there, Trevor Jacob, and we're just going to show a quick shot of this video, and from that point forward, the only thing I can tell you is this is kind of a almost verbatim what not to do kind of thing with the world of aviation, and that is strap a parachute on and pretend like your plane's about to crash, and then pull one of these joker moves, which is well, dive out of a perfectly good airplane. And what I mean perfectly good, there's a caveat there, but basically this guy's saying that his plane was going to crash in the mountains because of an engine stoppage, and that was his solution. His solution was to bail, which to me,
Yep.
I don't know, man. I'm just going to leave it at that. We're going to let all this roll in the background. But yeah, Trevor just exits airplane and says, "This is considered my way out." So I don't know, man. That there's a lot to say about what not to do, and I guess the first one is right off the top of my head. He might not have had a radio because it's an older N number in the registration. He left and he had a parachute on his back the whole time, because he had a buddy with a bad experience, but he pitched the aircraft for nose up rather than anything else. That was one of his things when he got out of the aircraft. What's your take? Some of the notes that you got on this bad boy.
I mean, there's so many things you could talk about, and one thing we like to try to keep in mind when we talk about accidents, when when we used to review in our safety meetings and things, would be to say try not to speculate too much, but just pull out what you can. So that's what we'll do here. And so what we have here is a gentleman that went for a flight. He does wear his parachute. He claims that he wears it all the time. So okay, if that's true,
Sure.
okay, fair enough. And he, if again, there's so many things we could talk about. I mean, he's over there, and from the video, if you watch the video is just about just less than 13 minutes long. You don't see like what the story. Like, is he going to another airport? Why is he out flying? Because there's none of that. We don't understand why he's flying. All we know is he talks about the plane, takes off. He says he's 20 minutes into the flight, and then engine stoppage, and then you see him obviously having some choice words, and then he exits the plane. And I mean, there's when we talk about just pilot training, you talk about things you do in emergencies. We train for emergencies all the time. What to do, what order to do them, what to prioritize, aviate, navigate, communicate. And it didn't appear to have hardly any of these things. And we could even back all the way up and say proper planning. Like, why are you flying over an area that has no forced landings? Why are you there?
Yeah.
Like, what's the purpose? So there's just so much to talk about. It is YouTube. The long and short of it is he did physically crash a plane. He was not in it. He parachuted out. He landed, let's call it safely, because he did make it to the ground. But he's pretty banged up, and of course he's got a buttload of views for it. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know if it was planned or not, honestly. I mean, what do you think, man? I mean, if you trim an aircraft to be trimmed for best glide and all that, and then you exit the plane, all you private pilots and better will know CG goes whoosh out the window.
No, he went out the window.
You just took a whole bunch of weight out. I know.
See, but wait a second.
But anyway, I'll pass it.
So he went out the window.
So what's going on?
In perfectly good view of the cameras, by the way, and he did this over the mountains of Colorado, apparently, or maybe California. He was flying out somewhere there. It really doesn't make a difference because David wanted to know what happened to the airplane. It crashed. I just showed you the video. It crashed. It just stopped. Okay, so the thing is, first off, engines don't just stop. They usually give you some sort of indication, but he doesn't give you any pre-story, just like Corey said, which is interesting. Number two, he's got GoPros placed all over over this aircraft, and he actually parachutes closer to the airplane to recover them. Okay, so he obviously, just like you said, this is a YouTube deal. He's looking for views. This is an eyeball getter. I know that you start off with a conversation started that's basically we shouldn't speculate. I'm going to speculate the hell out of this one. This man crashed this airplane for views on YouTube. All right, that's my take.
Sure.
And the last part of it is he got good footage. If you're going to crash an airplane and jump out of it on your own, man, this is the best way to do it because he pretty much made a cookie cutter event for him and him alone. However,
Yep.
all over the aviation channels like Pilot Mentor and all other guys that are cover aviation on YouTube, have been dogging this left and right. They've also pointed out that this guy might have had a fire extinguisher in his leg, that he may or may not have a type certificate of the aircraft properly and done some work on it so that the engine would have quit. There's a whole bunch of things. So it's really strange. I got to ask you, okay, how many engines have you ever had that just quit on you before in aviation?
Just
Just stop.
just stopped. That is a
Okay.
0. I have had partial engine failures and engine failures
Mm-hmm.
where it stopped. But then with planes, they might windmill and then start up again for various reasons. I've had partial failures in helicopters as well. But as Mike said too, usually mechanical failures don't just
New.
happen out of nowhere, where there's no signs that if you're keen to look for them, you would detect. Uh, we don't have any pictures of gauges or anything to know any of that stuff
No.
about this plane, so I don't know. Um,
All right, so
I don't
going
know.
with that, aviate, navigate, communicate, right? Some of the areas that we always say in part of airmanship, and part of the reason why Corey says we don't speculate is because we don't know what goes through a pilot's mind in a real emergency. That's if you have a real emergency, right? So David just pointed out,
Yeah.
so you literally crash an airplane for views, yes. And what if somebody landed on some random highway? Yeah, right. What if this thing crashed someplace? So here's the thing: he picked a spot.
So
Yeah,
could we say he's remote for a
yeah,
reason?
right. He's remote for a reason because he chose a place that would crash into that it wouldn't hit anything, right? That was his flight plan.
Mhm.
The other thing is you got to be some sort of an idiot to put this on YouTube and not think that the FAA isn't going to come sniffing around.
That is exactly the next thing I was gonna say when you pass it back. You can't possibly think NTSB and FAA and then legal action is gonna come after you because it's
Oh
freaking
yeah,
filmed. And they're gonna ask you all these same questions. Do you had your flight plan? You were stranded out there. Why didn't you stay with the plane? But if you had a flight plan, why were you talking on the radio? You could have, if you had some kind of way to, uh, if you're flying in remote places, you plan.
he
Take
didn't plan.
survival equipment. You take an EPIRB or a sat phone or something. You plan. You're going to be so remote in a single engine.
No.
There's none of that. So he's out there talking about having needing water. Fair. He needs
Mm-hmm.
water. There's no planning. Like
Well, wait.
there's no planning, no flight planning, no survival planning.
Well,
I
he had a
mean,
parachute.
as far as we're led to believe,
So
right?
wait, the FAA is going to come knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, this is a really great edit. Where's the rest of the footage that
Of
shows
course.
engine failure, your decision making process, your airmanship? Where's the rest of your process?" Because they're going to say, if you turn around and tell me that you cut all this footage out and you just randomly deleted all the other junk, dude, this man is going nowhere fast. It's incredible that this is out there. I'm shocked. Okay.
I'm impressed as well. When you showed this to me, I was like,
Yeah, you were
wow,
more than that. No, you were more
wow.
than wow. I said the first comment I can't even
I
say here
was,
on
I
the show
was.
because I was like, "Yep." I was like, "Yes." All right, your last thoughts on this one?
Yeah. So last thoughts for me. I have to obviously say I'm happy he didn't die.
Yeah,
Because I do like to take that, safety. He's out and he can make more videos. But this is gonna
oh
follow
yeah,
him. Like it's gonna follow him. He's definitely not done with this.
for sure.
And I'm interested. And since it is a actual crash, filmed or not, we will have incident
Oh
report on
yeah,
this.
you
It's
will.
gonna happen. It'll take some time, as you guys, if you know anything about aviation, NTSB accident reports, sometimes they take literally years to get the full story, but we'll get
Yeah,
the full story,
we will,
and
and so will.
it'll be following him
Yeah,
around forever.
that'll be
So
over
for
frame.
sure,
All right. Hey folks, like, subscribe, follow. Let us know what you think in the comments below. This is a controversial one. We're just blowing it right out of the water. We're gonna address some of the, yeah, it's nuts.
crazy. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the support again. Hit the little bell so you know when we're on next, because it's gonna be, hopefully, one a week now going forward. Just to address some of the things that David's got. I mean, he's got a lot here. So where did it crash? I think it was California. Um, didn't see it. So yeah, that's part of that's explored in the videos that he was making across. If you want to, yes, it was deliberate. It seems to be deliberate from what I can tell. My assumption is going to be right now. I didn't see anything that would have said that airplane should have crashed. That it seemed like there was smoke or bad contaminated fuel. You don't get the run up story, so I'm just going to tell you did it for you.
Mhm.
You got anything else to say on that one with David's comments?
I'm looking at timestamp 4 seconds. You can see the airworthiness certificate in the plane, but I mean it'd be so hard to make
Right.
out some of the details. I would be interested to know more about the plane. He asked about how much the plane cost. The plane does not appear to be in amazing shape.
It was
Um,
old. I know that.
it's an old plane. I don't actually know. And actually, while we're talking about that, just to wrap it up, also, did you find the end number?
I didn't look
Did
I
you
didn't
see
look
it
for it
somewhere?
honestly.
Because if you guys don't know too, if you know an airplane or an aircraft's N number, the registration number that must be posted on the outside of the aircraft, you can look that up and see who's it registered to, what type of plane, what type of power plant. All that's public
Yeah, I
knowledge.
mean,
And I can't find it anywhere in
yeah,
the
and the
video.
sad
So
part is it was a nice tail dragger. It's a plane that probably didn't need to crash. He at least had to have a tail dragger rating. So that's, I mean, he spent some time in getting his ratings, but
yeah, that's the other thing is he's a
yeah,
licensed pilot, or he
he was. I mean,
was. He
so
currently is.
here's
Yeah.
just a quick shot of the actual video itself. Just we're gonna bring that up. I don't see an N number in this particular shot that's on screen. And you know he entitled it "I crashed my plane." Well, guess what? That's not a lie. He crashed his plane. Not I had an engine failure. Not something. He crashed his plane. He gave you the truth right in the title.
Yeah.
He crashed his plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
All right.
Yep. No, I'm
So
good.
hey,
That's it.
Trevor.
Mhm.
You will not be racing for Airspeeder anytime soon, or maybe you will. I don't know. Maybe they want the attractiveness of. I'm a jerk.
I don't know. He's an actual pilot,
He's
which
not going to
is
be.
funny, right?
He's
He's an
not going to be
actual
an
pilot.
actual pilot for long. That's my interpretation of what's going on. All right. Like, subscribe, follow. We got more to talk about.